Hi, today I want to talk about cubing, growth, progress, and special brains. So, I know how to solve one of these, and every time I take this cube out in public, which is a lot, I've taken it around other people, inevitably I will get this response. Your brain is so special. Your brain is so unique for knowing how to do that. I could never. My brain doesn't work like that. And I've heard this comment from people of various ages, various abilities, and you would think it's kind of normal because anytime that you have a skill that people don't know how to do, people are going to be impressed by it and say stuff like that. Like if I could play a musical instrument, let's say, or excelled in a sport, people are always fascinated by it and make comments. But the thing about this cubing that makes it unique is I'm not even that good. And the barrier to entry is super low. Like, for example, I was taking this out and I didn't even know how to solve the whole cube. I was only solving the first two layers, and people were telling me that I had a talent and I was unique. And, I don't think there's any special skill that's required for cubing. I don't think that my brain is unique because I know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And no matter how many times I try to tell people that, they disagree. I have taught my sister and my brother and my best friend how to solve a cube without knowing anything about it, and they know how to solve it. And I firmly believe that 99% of people on the planet, if you give them the resources and time and you work with them, and it might take a while, but they could learn how to solve a cube from start to finish, and by the end be able to solve a cube with no help and solve it under 10 minutes. I'm not saying they'll be like world record level, but they could technically be able to solve it. I think it's an achievable skill, and I don't think my brain is wired differently or it takes a special kind of brain just to learn how to solve a cube. But I do think my brain is special, quote unquote, here, and wired differently, but for a different reason. So I've been cubing for 6 months, and my times average right around a minute. If I get sub 1 minute, that's actually pretty good. I have still yet not to get a sub 1 minute time in competition, and I've actually been to 12 competitions right now, and yeah, 0 sub 1 minute times at comp. And if you are in the cubing world, or you can Google it, you would know that that is pretty abnormal, especially considering the amount of time that I've practiced with cubing. As I said, I take this everywhere. I go out in public. I spend a lot of time practicing. I use slightly advanced optimized methods. I don't really use full CFOP, but I use a little bit more than the full beginner's method, and I have good hardware. And so one would think that at this level that I would be further along than where I am now. And when I try to tell that to non-cubers, they just are like, well, they don't understand, because they're like, well, you could solve it. And I try to tell them, I'm like, well, actually, I know it looks like I'm fast, but if I go to a competition, this time would actually be at last place. And, I'm at a competition and I'm losing to people who just started cubing a few weeks ago, who use inferior methods to mine, but they don't seem to understand it. And then when I tell it to cubers, they're just like, well, you need to practice more. You're just not practicing enough. You're still a beginner. You're still new. This is normal. And so nobody really seems to understand what I'm saying. And I don't really feel like I'm listened to. And, maybe everybody just thinks I'm some special snowflake, thinking that my brain is special when really it's not. But the truth is I've seen this issue come up in other areas of my life. 2 other things, 2 other skills. The main ones being musical instruments and driving. So musical instruments first. So I did take band class in high school, middle school. I played clarinet, middle school, high school. I took a year of piano lessons in high school, and in middle school I took 6 months of piano lessons. I took a music theory class in college. All my friends were musicians for a period of time. I grew up around music. I mean, I was by no means immersed in music 1000%. It was never my main hobby, but I was around music, and yes, I did know how to play, and to this day I can still read music and still play some basic notes. But given all that exposure to music, I feel like I would be a lot more skilled than I am right now. And this was pretty evident when I took drum lessons. So I took drum lessons in 2018, and that was after all that stuff I described. And in a period of my life when all my friends were musicians, and for 6 months I did drum lessons, and I never did a single song. I was just doing basic beats, and I struggled to master the basic beats. I don't even think I mastered the basic beat, like the basic 4 pattern beat, 4/4 beat, basic beat. Yep, didn't even master that. And my drum teacher was very baffled, And he didn't know what to do with me. He said, he's like, I've never seen anything like you. This is so unique. Like, he couldn't figure it out. And I couldn't figure it out. And that leads me to the next thing that I struggle with, which is driving. I'm unable to drive a car, and nobody can figure out why. I've taken driver's ed, I've practiced, and I still haven't gotten to the level where I can drive a car. I mean, I'm better than I was when I first started, and I'm better than somebody who knows nothing about driving, but I'm not at the level where I can confidently drive a car. And so I had this theory that if I master the drums, that I could master driving. And I held on to that theory, and nobody really cared. Nobody really thought much of it, but I stood by that theory. And then I stopped playing the drums. But when I discovered cubing, I actually had this new theory that if I could master cubing and figure out what's holding me back in cubing, that I could master driving. And, you know, driving is an important skill. I live in an area that does not have good public transit, and it's been able to held me back a lot in life that I can't drive. It's definitely made it harder for me to get things like jobs, social opportunities. Even in cubing, I could probably go to more comps if I could drive. Actually, I know I could go to more comps because I live in a very comp-heavy area. But anyways, yeah, so I want to drive, and I thought that if I learned cubing and mastered the cube, that I could maybe master driving. And, you know, that's not how I set out. I just set out learning to solve the cube, but when I had this theory, and now I'm kind of obsessed with that, and that's part of the reason why I'm obsessed with cubing, is because of my theory that, like, if I master the cube, it will fix whatever's with my brain. And I've tried to tell people, and nobody really seems to understand. Nobody seems to care. People who don't know anything about cubing are just like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, they don't get it. And, you know, they don't know how to solve a cube, so they don't know anything. They think that my brain is special and unique because I can solve a cube in the first place, and they don't know what I'm talking about. And then people who do know how to solve a cube are just like, well, you need to practice more, stop comparing yourself to others, like, you just need to try harder, you just need to practice more, you're still a beginner, don't feel so bad on yourself, people progress at different rates, and stuff like that. And so nobody has really been able to help me with this theory or have a discussion, and all I really want is somebody just to have a discussion about this theory that I have with my brain, and that there genuinely is something cognitively holding me back in cubing, and in driving, and in other areas of my life, and somehow, if I could get to the bottom of this, I might be able to find success. And I don't know if that's possible or not, or what that is, but I genuinely believe that.